Rocky on the beat.
Swerve right, swerve left.
Freeport, I got you, my
swerve
brother.
right,
Let's take off.
Swerve left. Freeport. Every time you see me on the highway, I'm swerving.
Bahama, stand up.
What's up, guys? Today I want to do a commentary on a video I saw. It was a TED Talk video. The woman was talking about marriage and how you need to marry yourself prior to looking for marriage and a partner. And there was just a lot of red pills that you can find from here, but most importantly, I figured I can dive into the importance of taking off the mask. So that's what this video is going to be about. So I hope you enjoy. There's a lot of red pills here. There's a lot of value in here. So just, get your pen and pads ready. Let's get it.
So when I was growing up, there was this song we used to sing on the playground, and it went like this. Tracy and so-and-so sitting in a tree, K-I-S-S-I-N-G. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes baby in a baby carriage.
I remember I made a post about this. There's a little girl singing this same exact song. And this doesn't really have anything to do with the video, but it's just funny. It brings back the memory of that post. How we sing that song as little kids over and over and over. First come love, then come marriage, then comes the baby. Yet we still manage to have so many out of wedlock kids. I mean, the programming of that song was so enriched to our culture. But it's amazing how the first song you learned next to the alphabet is something we often miss when we look at the Black community, of course, because there's so many kids out of wedlock. But that's a side note. Let's get right back into this bad boy here.
And I'm like, okay, that's it. That's how you do life. That's how you do a relationship. Love, marriage, baby carriage. Okay, got it. And then I grew up, and this is what my life turned out to be.
So let's check this out. We got love, then marriage, then divorce, which is, the first problem, the first thing right away is the love thing. See, in ancient cultures, they didn't marry off of love. They based off marriages, and they arranged marriages based off of wealth, merged families. But for the lower tier families, the people who weren't married, they married based off zodiac, compatibility, love language, personality type. And then another thing they would do, for example, let's say back in the days I was in arranged marriage and they had a Virgo man with the Taurus woman, which is a great match, by the way. They would have a kid based off that zodiac sign as well. So if the best kid combination for a zodiac, for a Virgo and Taurus parent was a Capricorn kid, and the kid around it being a Capricorn, because everything had to line up so you can have the best possible outcome. But even today, it's funny when I ask, people who have planned kids, it's almost unheard of for you to hear somebody say, yeah, we wanted to have a Capricorn because it goes best with our sign. So we made sure we made love at this time to give us the best possible outcome of having a Capricorn. Or this person's a Scorpio and my partner's a Pisces. So we wanted to have a Pisces kid or something like that. People don't even plan around having their kids around zodiac because this is information that is lost to them. If you say that I planned my kid around the zodiac, they're gonna look at you like you're fucking crazy. But thousands of years ago, the whole family structure was based off compatibility, love language, zodiac, and it included traumas from the family as well, the history going down the line. If you had slavery in your history, if you had trauma hundreds of years in your history, they would put you with another person who had the same type of things because they're generational curses. So just looking off the back, when she says she started off with love, that's the first problem to many marriages today. Love doesn't mean anything. Love is a feeling to most people, all right? Love is action. You know, when people say there's no such thing as unconditional love, well, unconditional love is a false term because love equals unconditional action. Meaning I'm going to continue to do the work and the actions that show that we are in love. It's not about feelings. And this is why I asked the question, would you rather feel like you're in love or actually be loved? To the women in my contacts and to the people who saw it on social media, I posted that. And a lot of the answer that most women want to feel loved, because if you have a love language that is different, you might not even recognize the signs of love. If you're a person who likes to hold hands and do gushy stuff and have a person read romantic letters and buy you flowers, that might be one love language. But to another person, he's paying the bills. He's going to put you through school. He's going to help you grow. He's going to heal your traumas. He's not going to always say yes, yes, yes. Because a true love is helping a person grow. So you say no, no, no. The same way you have to discipline your kids and tell them, well, you can't get everything you want. This is not necessarily good for you. You have to have some vegetables and fruits. You can't just have chocolates. That's love. But as it pertains to the woman, if you show that same type of love and that's not her love language, she won't see it that way. This is the first problem. We're on the first step right here. Love. This is the first error. People don't know what love is. They're looking for feelings and emotions when it's about action. It's about a dedication and a commitment to excellence and action. And then we have marriage and divorce, which is common because if you're marrying based off, here's the first problem. Now we're going into marriage. What a second problem. Most people are marrying based off voids. They're not marrying completely fulfilled. Because most women are marrying for ability and finances. Because the question I ask a person is, if a woman is married to somebody, I say, what if a year before you met this partner, you had won $100 million lottery? Would you still marry that person? And 99% of the time, because they're marrying off of stability, but if they have the ability to get their own stability, whether through inheritance, whether through one lucky genie or the lot, then they probably wouldn't be with that person 99% of the time. Because men are viewed as utilities and human beings are viewed as human beings, whereas men are viewed as human doings. So you have to understand that there is no such thing as marrying for love. That's the word they use to mask the true intentions. But if you're a man and you think a woman's marrying you for love, you're madly mistaken. The one word that I like to use for women is that they are survivors. Afford to marry a person for love. A woman who marries a person for love is a stupid woman. If I had a daughter or sisters, which I have 3 sisters, I would tell them you don't marry for love. You marry somebody who has the ability to raise a house mentally, spiritually, while keeping your emotional stability. So it's about them being able to raise a family without the hiccups in life, without the financial issues, because they finance divorce. I don't believe that. The number one reason to divorce is people coming into marriages without dropping their mask, without revealing their insecurities, without revealing their traumas, without revealing their true sexual desires, without revealing their true personality. They are meeting representatives and they are marrying representatives and falling in love with representatives. Reason for divorce. That is the number one reason for divorce. You have men who are homosexual or marrying women just so they can fit a so-called social to look clear socially. You have women that are not attracted to their husbands at all, that are not sexually satisfied with their husbands at all, but they're marrying because they are good providers and they can provide financially. And this is the number one problem with relationships, not finances, but they're marrying the mask. And obviously the divorce comes because most divorces are going to happen. Why? Because marriage is a business. Every business is in it. Nobody invests into stocks without expecting a return on investment. Who invests into a company? Who invests into the stock market and says, you know what? I don't want to get the money back. I just want to invest for the hell of it. I'm not looking to get the money back. Nobody does it. Marriage is a business. Every business is an investment. And 98% of the time, the woman gains more return on investment than the man. So the divorce is going to come. In not all situations, you know, there's a lot of older relationships that last because they're more open. For example, if you're a guy who's a homosexual guy, or you're a cook and you like to see your wife getting banged out by other people, if you express that to your woman, a lot of European or white marriages, they'll do that. In the black community, they're not going to express this thing. So we are wearing a mask in the black community more than they do in the white community. And as I always say, when you look at marriages that last 30, 40, 50, 60 years to death, probably less than 2% have they've only slept with each other. You know, a lot of time there's a lover in the background. A lot of time there's some sexual desires one doesn't know about, a few vacations expressing those sexual desires here and there. But, you know, they're loyal to the marriage. They're loyal to the family. They're loyal to the vows, but they're not necessarily faithful when it comes to the sex aspect. So you have many marriages like that, where there is loyalty to the big picture and maintaining the marriage, but the faithfulness of, okay, we're only going to sleep with each other is not there. Whether that's a decision that they both made or somebody, but I'll be willing to bet it's in 95% of marriages that do last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, probably 2% are with couples that are exclusively sleeping with each other from the day they say I do to die. Probably 2%. And I might be being generous. And I'm not judging them, but I'm just saying this is the dynamic we're in. You know, things change, but most importantly, people are marrying representatives. They are marrying masks. I remember when I used to work at Burger King, it was a side job when I was in college. You know, when I would come back, and I remember this beautiful African woman, so beautiful. I was hollering at her all the time. She would always brush it off, you know. But she came in one day with her family, and I saw her husband was flaming gay. Obviously gay. If you had eyes, you could see it. I mean, 300% gay. But she had kids with this guy. And obviously they were wealthy because they were putting up in a rows. This older African guy. But this is the situation. This woman married a gay African guy. Why? Because of money, because of stability. This is the type of... All right, now we go a little bit older. She says she had a long, empty, dry spell. That means a while without sex. That's good. She's healing after her divorce, or attempting to. The reality is she's not really healing herself because she doesn't know what she's healing herself from. But, you know, let's see what she says after that. Dating the right guys that I'm totally wrong for. By right guys, that means she was dating nice guys. And a nice guy is a fool, somebody who's oblivious of her true nature. Somebody is oblivious of her traumas. Somebody who is oblivious of her mask. Somebody who is oblivious of her sexual desires. Right guy means a guy who's going to be a provider. He's not going to make her pussy wet. As I always tell you, men in America are married to the guys that make their pussy the most. It just doesn't happen. So after dating the wrong guys, she has the best accidental pregnancy in the history of the world. So she got pregnant. So as a result, after the pregnancy, she got married, divorced. Because you're marrying, why? Because you had the kid beforehand. That's not the natural thing. Let's go back to the song. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes a baby in a baby carriage. If you go out of that, there's a great chance you're going to be divorced. It's okay, so she has Hall of Fame level co-parenting, and then another marriage and another divorce. So she's been married and divorced 3 times. And 2 more relationships that ended after that, blah, blah, blah. You get the picture, which means there's possibly much more divorces in it. But this is just a rundown on this woman's situation here. So 3 marriages and 3 divorces. And as we get into this a little bit more, as we begin to hear her speak, you're going to find out exactly why. And you're going to understand exactly why, guys, the most important thing you could do in a relationship is start off as friends and get her mask off. There is nothing more important than removing the representative in front of you and seeing the woman for who and this is why when that post I made, when a woman says you don't ask her sex count, I disagree. You need to be able to talk to everything about that woman. Everything. The woman in my life that I trust the most, I know everything about them. I told you guys, my homegirl, she even trusts me more than she talks to me more than her own priest. And this isn't a woman that I've slept with. No intimacy, just a connection, just transparency, vulnerability. And that's who I trust the most. Why? transparency and vulnerability. I don't care about your past. I asked your past just to see how transparent and vulnerable you're going to be with me. That's it. Other than that, it holds no other weight. And this is how you remove the mask. And this is a must for guys. Let's get right back into this. As you can tell, this is going to be a long one because there's so much I can say about this bad boy.
Slightly more complicated, right? Love, marriage, divorce, dry spells. Love, marriage, co-parenting, another marriage, another divorce. You get the picture.
Listen to that laugh. If a man gets married and divorced 3 times, he's not gonna because let's not forget, as of 2019, 87% of alimony, child supports, monies in home and houses are given to the women in divorces. So when a woman divorces 3 times, you better believe she came up 3 times with more return on investment in those marriages. If she has kids, she's getting child support. Home, she can get pensions. There are some women walking around with 2 or 3 pensions because they divorced 3 times, guys. So she can look at divorce and it doesn't be as bad as for a man because they're winning and gaining money on the back end of it. You have to understand that. It's a whole different picture that we're looking at. And they're just laughing about it, and the other women are laughing. 3 divorces, because you're gaining money. You're gaining a pension. You gain child support. You gain alimony. You might walk away with 3 homes. They are getting golden goose eggs based off you guys marrying for love. Remember, women marry the pragmaticism of marriage. And men fall in love with the romance of marriage. There's a difference. And in the end, the woman comes up. So as she sits there talking about her divorces and laughing and giggling, understand she probably walked away hundreds of thousands of dollars from each guy she divorced.
So if you're good at math and or a fast reader, what you got there is that I've been married 3 times. Yep, 3. And divorced. And what that's supposed to mean is that I am a total failure at relationships. And that is one way to look at it, but not the only way. Because what I think really happened is that I kept marrying the wrong person. Now, it's not that I didn't, it's not that I chose bad guys. My first 2 husbands were amazing men who are now married to wonderful women who aren't me.
Again, she said they were great guys. Like I said before, they're nice guys. Women drip for alphas, but they don't marry alphas. The bad boy is fun. But once they hit about the 30s, and definitely the mid 30s, they want security. They want the guy who's going to be reliable, who's going to be predictable, who's going to be stable emotionally and financially. But the problem is that doesn't make the pussy wet. So it becomes a job sleeping with this guy. So when she says they were great guys, they were providers. Period. That's what she went for. She went for provisions, and we'll find out even more so what she went for before. But they were good guys. And a lot of you guys are good guys. You're going to be loyal. You're going to be faithful. You're going to work hard. You're going to do everything right. Bring flowers and all that good stuff. And you're going to dry her pussy up. And she's going to be fucking some nigga in the bed, getting anal cream pies while you're at work. That's the reality. The human mind is very complex, and a woman is even more complex. Being a knight does not get her wet. Period. But what it does get you is divorce. So you can go on YouTube or turn on the TV and look at your first ex-wife about how she took 2 other guys to the cleaners just like your ass. Why? Because you're a nice guy. And you'll sit there and wonder, why did I do wrong? I brought her flowers and I complimented her every day. Guys, if you put a woman on a pedestal, she'll piss on you. If you treat a woman like a celebrity, she'll treat you like a fan. Nice guy doesn't get you anywhere, fam. That's not what's going to happen. You got to maintain masculinity. Be an alpha. Be dom. Period.
And my 3rd husband, well, we're friends on Facebook now. So all's well that ends well, right? After the collapse of my third marriage in 2005, I realized that I had been marrying everyone in sight except the one person that I really needed to marry in order to have a great relationship. And that once I married that person, all of my relationships would be successes, even the failures. The so-called failures, actually. So since we're talking today about women inventing, I want to talk about inventing relationship. And what I've found through a lot of trial and obviously many, many, many errors to be the thing that has transformed my life in love. And that is this idea of marrying yourself. So what does it mean to marry yourself? It's a big idea. It's as big as marriage itself, except if I could just summarize it, it would be that you enter into a relationship with yourself and then you put a ring on it. In other words, you commit to yourself fully. And then you build a relationship with yourself to the point where you realize that you're whole right now. That there's no man, woman, job, circumstance that can happen to you that's going to make you more whole, because you already are. And this changes your life.
Now, this is one thing I respect. She understands where she went wrong, where a lot of people don't look at that. And you have to look at yourself, you have to improve, and you have to fall in love with who you are. See, when you're marrying somebody to fill voids or seeking a relationship to fill voids, it's never going to bring you the fulfillment or fill those actual voids you're trying to have filled. What you need to do is fill those voids yourself. And that's with truth and honesty about yourself. And you might not always be able to just heal based off some things you've done or some things that have happened to you in your past. But the point is that you recognize these things have happened to me and they are a part of me. So I can't run away from it. I can't do this. I can't do that. I have to just face it and understand who I am. And when she's saying marrying yourself, she's saying understand who you truly are. As I've told you guys plenty of times, there are three things that women want. They want a man who knows himself, a man who knows who she is, and a man that has a vision and a plan for both himself and her as individuals and as a unit. And within those three things is the reason why a lot of relationships are not lasting, because you have people who do not know themselves. They may say they know themselves, but you have people not knowing themselves until 40, 50, 60 years old, but they're married at 25. You have to truly know yourself. Said the best age to get married is about 45 in my eyes. You live life, you experience things, you both mature, and go through all these different things, and then you meet as two people who know themselves, hopefully. You must know who you are. You must love who you are. You must embrace the bad. You must embrace the good. You must embrace the ugly, but you never lie to yourself. You never lie to yourself. You can lie to other people, but you'd be a damn fool to lie to yourself about who you are, what you desire, what you've been through, and how that has formed you. So she is 100% correct in that regard.
Now I'm sure at least some of you are wondering why you should be listening to a 3-time divorcee talk about marriage, even to herself. And I understand that. And here's what I have to say about that, is that what I've learned and my experience is that the places where you have the biggest challenges in your life become the places where you have the most to give, if you do your inner work. I kind of want to say that again. The places where you have your biggest challenges are the places where you have the most to give. So let me tell you a little bit about the person I truly needed to marry, myself. I'm from Minneapolis. My mom was a prostitute and an alcoholic. She put me in foster care when I was 3 months old. My dad was a criminal. He was a drug dealer and a pimp with a heart of gold. Actually, they both had hearts of gold. And he spent more or less my whole life in prison. And he just got out of prison after his most recent sentence, which was 20 years.
You see, guys, you see why I say you have to learn a woman's history. You have to learn her trauma. You have to learn her dark side desires. You have to pull the mask off. This woman upbringing is trauma trauma, 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 trauma. And as successful as she may look, the fact she's on TED Talk and PhDs and all that good stuff does not take away the fact that the foundation of her home was built on trauma. Her mother was a drug addict, prostitute. Her father was in and out of prison. So automatically, if your mother is a prostitute and your mother is hooked on drugs, this is to give her daughter the nurturing that she needs. So her daughter has voids, all right? And her father was in and out of prison. So she's going to have daddy issues. She's going to be looking for somebody to complete her. And more than likely, she has abandonment issues. If a woman has a healthy, stable mom who fully nurtured her, but a father who wasn't around, she's going to have abandonment issues. So a mother and a daughter, mother and a father who were unable to give you nurturing, who you're bouncing around from foster homes and this and that. Abandonment. She was looking to fill those or get left from a man in her relationship. And when a woman marries a guy who she has abandonment issues and she marries a guy, this is not going to be a healthy relationship. She's going to tend to be more jealous. She's going to be unhealthy in the way she views things. She's going to want to be all under you. You can't get space and a whole bunch of other things. I've been there, guys. I get it. That's why I find it attractive when a woman is on her purpose and able to do what she has. But when a woman has abandonment issues, she wants to be up and under you. She's jealous about everything you do. She's extra insecure about you looking at other people, giving attention to other people. Why? Because I want that attention. Anything that makes me feel like you're going to abandon me, I'm going to be petrified. And just listening to the first 30 seconds of her giving a rundown of her life, I see exactly why she's been married and divorced. And if I was the guy who was dating her and she told me that information, I will bring it out. I would know, okay, she has a lot of healing to do before we get married. And the reason why she's been divorced 3 times is because those guys have not done the work to find out this information to help her heal herself. You cannot have a woman who sits there and her mom was a prostitute, dad was in and out of prison, all have a healthy relationship without many years of therapy on her end. And you have to be devoted to doing so if you want to marry this woman. I guarantee you those guys just figure, oh, well, she's cool. We have a good time. We have great sex. I'm sure she has great sex. But they didn't care about getting her to heal, therapy and all this thing. That's why she's been married, divorced 3 times. But she's able to recognize it. She's a PhD woman, has psychology, so she thinks, a lot of therapists are screwed up in the head, but to be able to think objectively, which helps. And that's why she can be sitting here talking about it right now. But think about all the people with abandonment issues and traumas and mental disorders and sexual abuse and all type of things that you as a husband, you don't even know. And you wonder why you get divorced. You wonder why you don't have a healthy relationship. It is important to take off the mask, guys. Don't be a fool. This is why I preach this. Take the mask off the woman. It's the first thing you do. If it takes you 5 years of friend with her, then 5 years it is. But whatever we're dealing with and planning on being in a relationship with, it should be a lifelong commitment, not to marrying her, but to getting her mask off. And that's what the courting and dating and friendship stage is about. Getting the mask off, because there is no moving past friendships and there is no intimacy until the mask is off.
And I spent, until the age of 9, I was in probably 24 foster homes. And the thing you need to know about this story, because there's a lot of details.
From birth to 9 years old, she had been in a total of 24 foster homes. 24 foster homes. Can you say abandonment issues, lack of nurturing, abuse? She hasn't even, I'm just listening to this shit fresh. All right, so I don't even know what everything she's going to say. These are red flags that men are missing out on. Now, we're going to get into the fact that was she sexually molested from 0 to 9 years old? Did she have a foster parent that was rubbing on her, touching on her, sleeping with her? Did she have some other kids in the foster home that was sexually involved with her? This is stuff that we have to ask her, see her story. But the problem is a lot of you guys don't even go this far down with the woman to get her know her. Most women they'll get their careers and feel like, you know what? No matter everything I've been through, I got my career. I'm stable now. If I'm making 6 figures, I have my own house. I'm ready for love and I'm going to bury that. No. We don't bury anything around here. Everything has to be brought to the surface. If I'm going to put my life on the line for you as a husband, I need to know everything about who I'm protecting. I need to know what triggers you. There are some women, you might say a word and that word makes her attack. And now you're calling 911 ambulance because your wife's having a panic attack. But what you didn't know that she was abused by her ex for 3 years. And he would always say this one word. So when she thinks about that word, it made her trigger and think about that guy who used to abuse her, who put her in the hospital. And now she's having a panic attack. It can be as simple as that, but it can be much greater. So you must understand these things, guys. A woman like this, a woman who knows herself, who's transparent, who can talk to you about what you need to hear, that's what you want. Don't listen to a story like this. And I'm not saying, oh, run away, she's damaged. No. What I'm saying is this is the type of conversation that you need to be having with a woman. And when I say I can tell a guy who's a sucker or not, based off the fact that he's either entertaining or educating. Me, if I'm on a first or second date, I've already had the same conversation this woman is having right here with this audience is the type of information that I'm seeking to find out on the first and second date. Why? Because I'm invested in her. If I'm just going to have sex with you, then I don't need to know all that crap. Well, really, I do. Any woman I'm around, I want to know everything. But if I want to invest in you as a wife, then I have to find this information out, whether it takes me years. Then I'm going to do it. But the mask has to come off because you are going to be a life partner. I'm eventually going to invest everything I have into you. You are a vessel. So I need to know what type of vessel you have. And this should be common sense. But obviously, when I post about dropping the mask, traumas and insecurities and sexual desires, you guys look at me as if I'm talking in voodoo language. So you need to wake up, guys. And you women out there, you need to be transparent. You can't just bury this type of stuff. You know, you men and women, we all have trauma, but you can't bury it. You have to be real with yourself and you have to put that out there. And if the person is going to love you for everything you've been through, then they'll appreciate that. And anyone who just wants to just bury things and move on and stay quiet about certain things, you will never find fulfillment. You may be married for 30, 40, 50 years. Oh yeah, you can. Plenty of people are married and their partners don't even know them. They're married to a mask. But if you want to be fulfilled and grow and evolve in a marriage, a happy marriage, you have to drop the mask.
The thing you need to know is that I came out of that childhood with one goal: to never be left.
Bam! Hit it with the mug. See? I tell you guys, I'm listening to this raw. I don't even know what's coming up after this. I just plugged it in, and within the first 2 minutes, he say, you know what? I'm going to pause this. I'm going to do a drop because she's going in. But this is what I'm saying. Abandonment issues to never be left. You're not going to get a healthy relationship like that, guys. You're not going to do it. And you might, oh, this woman is so crazy about, she wants to spend all her time and she wants to fuck my brains out and please me and this and that. You don't just want a woman to be on you because she has fears of abandonment. You want a woman to be on you and value you and know exactly who you are and be healthy. Healthy. I mean, Jesus Christ. I can only imagine the jealousy this woman has in her. If you even look at a waitress a little too long, she's going to be freaking out and cussing you out in the car. I've been there, guys. I know those abandonment issues. I know it. And these women and men with abandonment issues, it's just not healthy. And anything that's not healthy is going to drain your energy more than it needs to. And that's what it's down to. People who aren't, they drain others, grow in a 20, 30, 40 long marriage.
The way I was going to do that is that I was going to get married. That was the way I was going to accomplish that goal. So I got married the first time to a guy I met when I was 17. We got married a couple years later. When I was 19, he was a really good guy from a great family. He had an MBA. I mean, it was like, it was like marriage material.
All right, first problem, she was way too young, didn't know herself. Okay, but that's expected. The woman's been through more foster homes than some of you niggas have had. So we get that. But look, she didn't say, oh, he had character. He could teach me this. He was knowledgeable. He said he had an MBA. So what does she think? Security. Security. A great guy gives security. Very few women are dealing with guys that actually evolve them to a higher level. If he was a great guy, he would have healed her, said, look, darling, You have a lot of trauma that's going on from your past, and I love you. I'm willing to build with you, but we're going to have to obviously address this, because if we're going to have a fruitful relationship that's going to stand through the test of time, we both have to come at each other healthy. You know, so I'm willing to go to therapy with you, and how long that years that take, we can do that. If it takes 3-4 years, fine, we'll do that, and we'll get married, because I want to be with you. But I want you to be healthy and evolve, because maybe when you evolve, you might evolve past me, and you might have bigger aspirations than me, and have a higher standard than me. So right now, at your unhealed, unevolved standard, I'm the man that you feel you love. But when you get healthy, I might not be to your standard anymore. So I want to make sure that of yours, someone who wants to marry you, that we can truly evolve together as individuals, so we have the best chance of this relationship lasting. What a great man would have been. That's a great man. Not just, oh, here's an MBA, money.
And, you know, I was thrilled. I was like, I have a family, I belong somewhere, this is wonderful. And then after 5 years, I left him. And then 10 years later, I got married again to another wonderful guy who's the father of my now 16-year-old son. We still have a wonderful relationship. He's a really good guy. But after 4 years, I left him too. And I'm not proud to say that I did that, but in order to really marry yourself, you have to get sometimes very painfully honest with yourself about what it is that you've done.
See, she left all her husbands, man. It's not the guys that are leaving. See, this is the problem I have in modern marriage. And people say, well, sometimes it just doesn't work out. This woman is telling you the reality that 99% of women are dealing with, but they don't express it the way she does. They don't know themselves, and they're trying to find themselves in marriages. And at the end of the day, this guy, who's the so-called great guy, from her own words, 2 of them, great guys with kids, she just leaves the marriage. And now they have to pick back up from pieces. You know, these are legacies, man. You're breaking legacies. The guy has a kid with you. He's willing to bring you into his 500-year legacy. I've told you guys, I had a white neighbor that I used to live next to, and he had a family went back to the 1700s, and all of their photo books had the same all the photos and the family members had the same last name until about the 70s. And then you start seeing different names and different color hair and different color eyes and shit like that, because now they're having divorces. But prior to the years, their family intact, there were no divorces, and their families had the same last name. We're talking about legacies. The woman just walked marriage like it's a fucking bad date. Got a legacy here. And it means nothing. What's more important is she has to find herself. And I get that, because you only have one life, and you don't want to die not knowing yourself and being in a situation you're unhappy with. But what I'm telling you guys is you have to find out this information, find out if she knows who she is prior to marrying her, or you're going to end up being the guy who gets divorced. And let's not act like she just said, well, even though I divorced you because I need to find myself. What I would have asked her is, if that was the case, if he was a great guy, did you give him full custody, or did you take the kids, take child support, and take alimony? That's what I would want to find out. If he was a great guy and you had to find yourself, okay, I get that. So did you give him the kids? More than likely, no. The kids are probably with her. And she probably came out with some money, maybe a home, maybe some child support, some alimony. Did you tell him he was a great guy? That it's really because I'm fucked up that I have to divorce you? Or did you just go through the motions and argue with the guy and end up like the typical marriage, badly in court and this and that? And then you realize years later, well, damn, maybe it's my insecurities, my trauma, my upbringing. But did you tell him that before you divorced him? Probably not. So she'll divorce this guy, cheat on him, talk this and that. He's bad here, this and that. Bring him through the divorce court and all that shit. Up here on TED Talks and say, he was a great guy and I was this and that. That doesn't mean that's how she treated him during the divorce. That's just something she came to the realization of years later. See, that's what you guys got to understand, fam. Just tearing up relationships, tearing up families. And it's, and I get it. I don't want to bash a woman because she's being honest. So this is about you guys understanding what you're marrying out here. And if you don't take off the mask, this is what can happen to you. But you got to read between the lines too. So don't just think that because she said he was a great guy, you know, you're a great guy. I need to find myself. So I'm going to let you have the kid, or we can do 50-50 care custody, but I'm not going to divorce rape you. I'm not going to ask any money. I don't need any spouse support, and I don't need any child support. Realistically, she's not going to say that. All right. This is something she's came to the conclusion of after many years of analyzing herself and so-called marrying herself. And she did this with 3 husbands. And then she took the time to figure it out. Like I said, it's not a knock to her. I appreciate a woman who's honest like this. But when I'm talking to a woman, this is the first date conversation for me. Everything that you're hearing her talk about, this is the first date. Period. Before the first date. Because I don't want to know your representation, your representative. I want to know who you are. And even listening to her, watching her body language, I can see more trauma in her. I can see much more trauma than what she's revealing, just looking at her body language. But that's a whole nother drop right there.
So I'm not proud of that. And then 8 years later, I got married again when I was 40. And I was like, okay, this feels right. Okay. Let me tell you what felt right to a girl who was in 24 foster homes. A guy who started to date after 9 months of marriage. Essentially, he started dating a 21-year-old girl, which you're like, okay. I mean, it would be funny if it weren't so tragic. You have to have a sense of, that's why, you know, we're Facebook friends. So.
See, I absolutely love this woman here. This is my type of woman. She's transparent. She's vulnerable. She analyzes things. And she said, see, what felt right was meaning chasing her feelings. What felt right was a guy who really wasn't good for her. And I appreciate her saying that. That's transparency. It felt right, but it wasn't necessarily right. And I can't knock her for a man leaving her for a 21-year-old guy. When she was 40 years old, I'm assuming the guy was probably maybe 1 to 10 years older. And, you know, yeah, a 21-year-old woman is going to make your dick harder than an older woman. It just, you know, it depending on the type of guy you are. For me, because obviously, you know, my imprint was an older woman. I lost my virginity to my teacher in high school. So as a result, my trauma is that I wouldn't even say trauma, but I just am more attracted to. So for me, 45 to 55 is the range that I'm attracted to. Whereas a normal guy who didn't have the trauma I have would be attracted to a younger woman all the time. So I can't knock her on that third divorce for the guy leaving this and that, you know what I'm saying? Because that happens a lot. It happens a lot. And I don't advise you guys marry a woman to be cheating or dating other women. If you're going to get married, you need to be fucking faithful. I expect women to not be faithful to their vows because they're the ones who are marrying emotionally and off of feelings. But as a logical man, make the commitment to marry a woman, then you honor that commitment, period. Because the Creator, the Most High, is looking at you based off your decisions. You go marrying, we're going to build a legacy. You honor that shit. All of you hear me guys talking about no marriage, this and this and this and that. Well, I ain't been married. I could have been married 4 times already, but I haven't been married. So I don't have any obligations to any woman as far as marriage goes. But if I did, I would fucking honor it. Yeah, I've cheated in marriage because I take marriage too damn great. It's not something I take lightly. So if I'm going to do it, then I'm going to do it right. But if I'm going to do it, I'm going to fucking make sure I do all the information I need to, which is why I'm making this video right here, guys. I'm making it so you guys, why I say you have to take off the mat. I say it all the time. You have to know a woman's dark side desires. You have to know her trauma. You have to know her upbringing. You have to know if she was molested. I have homegirls who've been molested by their fathers and husbands don't even know. And I told you one of them, she's married. But her husband and her father are having such a great conversation and she's just freaking out. He's like, oh, why are you acting like this around your dad? You need to grow up and this and that. But she never told her husband that her father molested her for years and years and years. So he doesn't know the trauma, what's brewing. And eventually she's going to have resentment towards this guy. And I told her, look here, you can't have resentment to the guy for not telling him. But at the same time, I blame the man even more so because you're not supposed to be marrying a woman you didn't take the mask off of. Period. Because you're going to have more to lose.
Looking at this person that I just described with the terrible track record of relationships, and I'm like, I'm supposed to marry her? Like, this is the woman you want me to marry? And the answer is yes. Because here's the deal. The thing about marrying yourself is that it's not just like cohabitating. You're not just gonna date for a while and see how it turns out. You are going to do this till death do you part. You're gonna take vows. So here are the vows. Number 1, you're gonna marry yourself for richer or for poorer. This means you're gonna love yourself right where you are. You don't say to yourself, when you get to the corner of Hollywood and Vine, then I'll marry you.
She made a very great point right there. You have to marry yourself based off where you're at. And here's the thing, even if you're going to marry a person, you have to marry that person based off who they are and where they're at that moment. See, a lot of times we are falling in love with the potential and or the mask on a person. When you look at a person, you have to love who she is and know who she is, not the potential. A lot of people are falling in love with the potential of a person. It doesn't mean shit when they're full of trauma and experiences and they're wearing a mask that you know nothing about. So she made a very great point. And like I said, this woman was dropping a whole lot of game, but you have to meet the person where they are at. That means falling in love with the potential. Stop falling in love with the man. Know exactly who you are dealing with.
You don't say, when you lose 10 pounds, then I'll love you. And you don't say, if you hadn't married that loser, I would love you, but since you did, I'm sorry, I think it's over. When you marry yourself, you walk yourself down that aisle exactly where you are. And paradoxically, I've found that loving myself exactly where I am is the only way to get where I'm going.
See, this is why I like this chick right here. I really like this woman here. And I wish all of them are like that. She's been through a lot of shit, but it took her 40 plus years to be able to truly evolve and love herself. That's healing yourself. In the years and had the experiences to heal herself. And she still is healing herself. I can look at her body language, like I said, but that's a whole deeper game right there. But she's put in the work that 99% of male and women of any nationality are not going to do. And it's the type of woman I can respect. So I would rather marry a woman like this than some woman who's walking around with a mask who had a so-called perfect upbringing. Because the work this woman puts in, she's going to know who she is. She's going to know what she wants. When she comes to the table, I guarantee her next husband, this and this and this and this. I got molested in foster homes, yada, 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 yada. This is who I am. I know what I want. It took me 3 marriages to find out. I understand that scares you, but I put in the work to know myself, and I hope you have as well. And now she's going to have a higher standard for men because she knows the work that she's put in, and she's going to be looking to see if men have put that work in themselves. And as she speaks right here, she doesn't have a ring on. Okay, good. So there's not a 4th divorce in her sight, but maybe she will get married. But whether she gets married or not, who cares? The big picture is now this woman is on a path to healing herself much more than the average person on this, because she looked inside herself and was honest with herself. Respect that all the time.
Number 2, you're gonna marry yourself for better or for worse. So what this means, it's like most of us are willing to love ourselves for better. I mean, sure, like, I'm having a great hair day today. I love me. You know, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for worse, you know, like the big life disappointments. Maybe you don't own a home, you didn't get the career you wanted, maybe you didn't graduate from college, maybe you didn't get the relationship you wanted, maybe it hasn't turned out, maybe you fight with your mom, maybe you watch too much reality TV. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter anymore, right? Because when you marry yourself, you agree to stay with you no matter what. So 3rd, you marry yourself in sickness and in health. So what this means is that you forgive yourself for your mistakes. A mistake isn't actually a failure unless you don't learn from it and unless you don't grow.
Bomb! Hit her with the mug. She told the truth, ma'am. She told the truth right there. See, this is why I fuck with this chick right here. I really like her content. I've been reading her content, been studying her content. It's very rare that you meet a transparent. But you gotta understand, if you can't be loyal to the vows in which you set for yourself, how the fuck are vows with another human being who doesn't even know you? If you can't be loyal to vows you made to yourself, how can you be loyal to the vows you make to another person? She gets it. She gets it. Through those failures, if you learn, then they weren't failures. And obviously this woman had a lot of experiences she had to learn from. And a lot of people have a lot of experiences, but they don't learn from them because they rather bury them and pretend they don't happen with them when we're put on a mask. See, that's the difference between evolved and undeveloped and unevolved men and women right there. So I got much respect for this woman right here.
There's a saying, you ask for patience, and what you get is a line at the bank. And what that means is that life does not give you what you asked for. It gives you the people, places, and situations that allow you to develop what you asked for. And you know, the thing is that if you don't get it right the first time, life will give it to you again. Because life is very generous that way. It's like, I didn't get it the first time in the first marriage, and I didn't get it the second time. You know, it's like, okay, maybe the third time I'll get it. So inside that terrible experience of that third marriage, I learned something about in sickness and in health. And what I learned is how to sit by my own bedside and how to hold my own hand and how to nurse myself and how to comfort myself. And what I learned is that I am a person that I can count on.
That's very important right there. She learned that she's somebody she can count on. She learned how to heal herself. She learned how to nurture herself. Therefore, what she's saying, if you read between the lines, she learned how to fill her own voids internally, rather than seeking someone externally to fill those voids. And because a lot of marriages are happening based off of whether it's emotional, sexually, physical, spiritual, and financially, then they are not going to be relationships that result in the ultimate evolution of that individual. Like I said before, if you take 9 who are married, ask them, have they won $1 billion lottery before, a year before marrying their partner? Would they still have married them? And majority of them would be a no. Because they now that they have security and stability, financial security and stability, they might live a different life. Well, maybe I don't want to live where this person's living. Maybe I don't want to just get tied down to one person. Shit, I got $1 billion now. Maybe I just want to go fuck every hot guy I can fuck. Maybe I want to have 3 or 4 husbands around the world. You know, when the financial security standpoint, the power is in her hands, she's going to make different decisions. And the same with men. So these are voids that to fill within relationships.
Last but not least, you marry yourself. When you marry yourself, it's to have and to hold yourself. So what does it mean to have and to hold? Well, I think it means that you love yourself the way you want someone else to love you. I had always been going through life like with this sense of lack. I felt like I was kind of half a person and that I was missing something. And I went into my relationships hoping to solve this feeling that I'd had my entire life, that I wasn't whole unless someone loved me. And the truth is that I wasn't ever going to feel whole until I learned to love myself. So this business of marrying yourself transforms every area of your life, your business, family relationships, kids, social relationships, friends. Because when you marry yourself, this huge thing happens. You become able to love in this whole new way. You become able to love other people right where they are for who they are, the same way you're already loving yourself. And of course, this is what the world needs more of. So when I married myself and I realized that I already had everything I needed, I started seeing it as my job to basically just light up my little corner of the world. You know, that's my new job. Because I don't need anything, I already have it. So when I take meetings, it's all about like, how can I help this person achieve her goal? And when I'm in my social communities, it's like, what can I bring to this that only I can bring? And when I go on dates, it's like, how can I just discover another person, maybe for just 1 hour? Which of course brings me full circle. Because people always ask me about my love life, you know? They want to know. And, you know, the answer is I'm still working on it, aren't we all, you know? So this is where I am right now. About 3 months ago, I went on a first date. And about 30 minutes into the date, I found myself paying attention not to whether he liked me, but how I felt in his presence. I noticed that I was like light and happy and joking. And as I reflected on the date afterward, I was like, wow, I got really excited. I'm like, look, this is how committed I am to myself. I'm not even on this date trying to like get someone to like me. You know, I'm more interested in how I feel about me than how he feels about me. Not because...
And that's where you want to be right there. She said a mouthful in 10 seconds, man. That's where you want to be. She's not even concerned if this person likes me. She's just being herself. And if she likes herself. See, this, even as she's on TED Talk and it's a great speech, but she's saying it's still going over the heads of everybody in that room. More than likely. You guys can't even imagine how deep that is, because the mask and trauma and all that shit is not a subject that matters to a lot of people. But do you understand how deep that is right there? This is what you call an evolved woman. And another reason why, older woman. Now, not to say every older woman is evolved, because plenty of them are not. Plenty of them are still insecure. Plenty of them still have their walls up. And, you know, they're protecting themselves from all these other things. But that's not the wall up insecurities and inhibitions and all. That still comes down to a person that has to evolve. That's what it comes down to. The monk sitting on the top of the Tibetan wall doesn't have the insecurities, inhibitions, questions and fears, and the walls up. Everything's coming to him, and he can handle it because he knows who he is. He is putting the work to be that high level monk. And this is what this woman is doing here. So I respect the hell out of this woman, fam.
But because the only relationship I'm ever going to have with another person is the one that I'm already having with myself. I'm just going to have it with them now. So it turned out he liked me, you know, and we're still together, and it's cool and amazing, you know, but like I've been married 3 times, so slow down. You know, the thing is, I'm not trying to get security from him through marriage. And God forbid, a baby carriage. I'm only here to just be in relationship. I'm not dying to hear the words, will you marry me? Because even though those words are very powerful, and very powerful to a person like me, I don't need to hear them from him because I've already heard them from myself. And the way I see it, it's like I took myself to the top of a mountain, or maybe to the bottom of the ocean, and I got down on one knee, and I said, I'll never leave you. And now I'm married to the one person I really wanted to be with all along, myself. Yeah.
Gotta clap for her. You know, the whistle and all that good shit. This is what I'm talking about. Evolution of an evolved woman. The importance of taking off the mask, not only for your partner, but for you. This was a great video. She was here, and I wish much success to her future and her life, man, because she's definitely putting in the work and learn from her shit. All right, so I hope you guys were able to learn something from this video. This is why I always stress the importance of getting a woman to take off her mask and know who she bashed a woman, but it's to help her evolve and know what you're dealing with. If you want to marry this woman and make the commitment to her, you need to make sure you have all the information of knowing who this. And I know a lot of women, married and single, that will still, you know, they have their walls up. There's a lot of things their husbands don't know, a lot of things their friends don't know. And, you know, you don't want to die that way. You got to be free. And if it takes divorce on a motherfucker to find it, oh well, then do it. But just love yourself without the mask. I hope you guys enjoyed. This turned out to be an hour-long video based off a 10-minute long, an hour-long commentary based off a 10-minute long video, but I can go 4 or 5 hours on it. But you guys have a blessed one, man. We out.